Welcome to Unraveling with Jamie and July, where we explore the many layers of healing, deep dive into the difficult or often avoided conversations, and unravel what it means to be a woman in today's world.
Right.
So, welcome to another episode of Unraveling. I'm Jamie.
I'm July.
And today we are very excited. We are joined by our very first guest that we are having here on Unraveling. We're joined today by Becca Shaw. So, welcome, Becca. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you both?
Good,
Doing
good.
pretty good.
So we'll just dive right into, perhaps you can just share a little bit about who you are and what you do, and then we'll dive into conversation from there.
Absolutely. Well, I'm Becca. I'm originally from England, but I'm currently living in Canada. I do everything holistic and spiritual, lots of healing modalities. I do things like tarot cards and that kind of divination stuff. But my absolute favorite at the moment, the one that we'll probably talk about the most in this podcast, is my work as an Akashic Records practitioner and coach, because that's just so interesting and can be adapted to anyone and any situation. We can go super mundane, we can go super spiritual, and everything in between. So I absolutely love my work. I just love watching people heal themselves, transform their lives, and that's my jam, really, is just making people have the confidence and the power to change their lives and change their realities, in fact, to make it better for them.
Awesome. I'm really excited to hear more about the Akashic Records. It's definitely one of the things in the healing spectrum that I actually haven't tapped into, really. I've heard a little bit about it. I've touched upon exploring it just the tiniest bit. So I'm here to learn today. Tell us more about it.
Okay. So people have either heard of it or know very much about it anyway. So you're definitely not unusual in that respect. So the Akashic Records is pretty much the idea that every soul has its very own energetic library. And this library holds everything that your soul's ever done and any future possibilities. It's got all the good stuff and all the bad stuff. So things like limiting beliefs and past lives, like for good or bad, the things that are stuck with you from your past lives, any traumas and things in this life. Just absolutely anything and everything is stored in these records. And everyone has access to their records, so you can go up there and your guides are there, and the guides are like the librarians. They can show you around, really. They just kind of like, you go up there and you say, I'm having a problem with this, or I don't know what to do about this part of my life, or I'm really curious to know why I have this phobia or this addiction or this limiting belief or whatever it is. And the guides are there to show you around the library. And sometimes that's literally just showing you things symbolically, or they just tell you in words, or they take you to memories, they take you to past lives. So it can be like a past life regression. We can go to speak to your higher self or your optimal future high vibing self that's got all your things that you've ever wanted and desired. We can go talk to that future self and say, how did I get there? What advice do you have? Yeah, it's just so unlimited, and I could talk about it forever. So
That's good. That's good. That's why we have you on. So how do you access these Akashic Records? Like, how do you find the information? Is it based at all on, how we do with human design or astrology, or is there something more to it than that?
So it depends who you're doing it with. If you're doing it with a practitioner, a lot of the practitioners, they do it like a psychic medium. So they'll channel it and they'll say, okay, July, I'm in your record and this is what I'm seeing and blah, 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 blah. And you say, thank you very much. And maybe you don't do anything about it, like if you had a tarot reading. The way that I was taught is I coach you. So I take you into your records. So I take you through like a meditation. and we go into your records, and my job is to get you to see and hear and understand what's happening up there for yourself. And obviously, like, maybe you don't pick up on something or you don't quite hear it properly and you need some help, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
I'm there. I can say, well, this is what it is, but my whole job is to help you visualize and help you get it. And my hope is that my clients then go and do it for themselves, that they don't need me anymore, that they can just go do
Okay.
it on their
So
own.
it's energetic. It's not based
Yeah.
on when you were born or anything like that. It's all based on
Yeah.
energy and okay. All
Like
right.
some practitioners will ask you your date of birth and things like that. I
Mhm.
don't need that. Some
Okay.
people need your actual legal name. So whether that's your birth name or your married name or the name that you changed it to legally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't bother with all of that. I just do it energetically, and it's your records. We totally have
Mhm.
access to your records. So let's go
Okay.
on up and explore.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I've had an Akashic Records, I don't know, what is it called? Like a reading? I don't know if that's what it's
Yeah.
called.
Wow.
Experience. Like I had someone kind of like guide me through, and it was fair. I found it very similar to like a past life regression,
Yeah.
That's what I was
but
going to
like
compare.
but
Yeah.
different and cool, and like it was really neat. Like the experience was really neat, and I definitely like want to explore it again and more. um yeah, no, it's really cool and fascinating.
Yeah.
So how did you get into this work? Like tell us a little bit about your journey and your, if there was an awakening of any kind and how you got to this.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I grew up in England, and I always say that the veil's very, very thin there. Like we have lots of mythologies about like the fairy realms and how, the entrances to those places are very accessible. So whether people in England realize or not, we all have connection to otherworldly things, and it's in our psyche.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always that magical, strange child at the bottom of the garden with the fairies, with the imagination. I was always off, floating around universes and things. So I never had a traumatic experience. Like a lot of healers, especially, they have some kind of um, big event, right? Like they have like an illness or something, right? Something happens to them, and it's either they suffer or they awaken, right? And they become like this higher
Yeah.
soul. But that didn't happen to me. Like obviously bad things have happened, but that wasn't the catalyst. That wasn't the thing that awakened me. I would say I was always this strange and this out there with everything. And so yeah, so I pretty much grew up as the weird kid, but like cool weird kid.
Yeah.
And yeah, and my I was doing tarot cards when I was young. I was doing massage and crystal healing and stuff as a child, and
Mhm.
my mom really loved that. Obviously, I was always doing therapies on my mom, and a neighbor moved in who did massage, so my mom would tell me to go over there and just
Mhm.
like learn from her. And then she bought books, and yeah, so I'm always learning, always learning, and always adding. So even if it's something like tarot that I've been doing for so long, there's always something new pops up in area, and I'm always learning something different about it. And yeah, but then with the Akashic Records, it was always sort of there in the background, and I didn't have an interest in it. I was like, I already have like tarot and things. I don't need another predictive thing. And I thought you had to be more sort of psychic and all that stuff, which I possibly am, but I don't really do that, if that makes sense. I don't
Right.
like, yeah, I don't identify as that. I don't know. But I didn't really want something where I would be channeling. I don't know
Mhm.
why. And then I found this teacher that was like, well, we don't do it that way. We coach the client, and it's like a life coaching type thing. And I said, oh, that's interesting. I wouldn't mind doing that. And so I learned that. And yeah, it's so much better, I think, for the client when they can experience, when they can when they see why something is wrong, and they can just say, oh, I understand, this is what it is, and this is what I need to do to change, rather than someone externally telling you what to do.
Absolutely. Wow. Wow. It's just so cool and so amazing that you had such a supportive, foundation, because that is not the norm. And I'm sure you know that from working with people, and I'm certain other healers have come through to work with you, and that is definitely not what most of us experience. So that's beautiful. Oh my goodness. I got it. I'm like, I wish that would be so wonderful. So instead, all my gifts, there was a lot of shame around them. There was a lot of hiding them. I was also the kid down playing with the fairies and tuning out. And, it was said all the time, I daydreamed. I was the daydreamer. I was in my own world. But I was actually shut down very early on by the women in my family saying, like, be careful what you're doing, because society won't necessarily accept this. They're not going to accept how you are. So fear was put in me instantly that, lower just don't tell people, don't express it, and shut it down. So how amazing. How absolutely amazing. Oh my gosh, your mom must be just an amazing human being.
She's pretty good.
Aww. Now, is she back in England still, or is she with you in Canada?
No, so she actually died a few years ago. So sort of around COVID time, she died of like cancer and things. It just was very sudden, and yeah. But she was just a light, right? Like one of those people that was always smiling, and so like everybody loved her. It's like just one of those lights in the world, right? So,
and I'm sure she's still shining bright for you.
Oh, yes,
yeah.
definitely.
How beautiful. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Do you have any more questions, Jamie?
Like, I don't know. I don't know where to go from here.
Yeah, it's so when people come to you, do you find there's a theme of what they're looking for? Like, have you noticed any type of common things that people come looking for answers to these days?
So usually, like, it's kind of everybody and everybody, really. But I kind of get a lot of people, it's more about what's my purpose, what's my soul mission, is a lot of it. Even people that aren't really spiritual, they're like, but why am I here? What do I need to do with my life? Whether or not they believe in past lives or not, like they're like, what am I meant to be doing? What's the next step forward? And that could be with business, that could be with relationships, that could be with just moving to a new country or something. But it's always that same kind of like, what do I need to do next? Like, what's the next step for me? And I think that a lot of people are very much awakening now to the fact that they do have some purpose, and they don't really know how to find it. And so everyone's kind of like lost a little bit, and they're trying to find that connection to that thing, whether that be God or themselves or just a life path or something. That there's something missing for a lot of people, and they're realizing that now.
And so the Akashic Records really provide a bridge to finding your power in many ways, would you say?
Yeah, like I've done so many ones where it's like literally called like, stepping into your power. Like I can do that in like groups, or I can do that one-on-one, and it's very, very powerful because they literally step into their power, and it's like this permission to shine, right? To find what that missing piece is. And there's it just pops into my head, but there's also this really cool thing where you can do this thing where you call back a soul gift. So for example, as a healer, perhaps you were a healer, probably more often than not, you're a healer in many other lives, and there was like the witch trials and stuff, so your soul kind of left a lot of that ability behind, whether that was healing, whether that was a psychic something. They cut that off in a past life and left it somewhere. Right, so you have this still, but you don't have access anymore. So you can do this soul gift retrieval, and that's absolutely just beautiful to watch that, because it's literally streaming back into you. So you find out the reason that your soul gave it up, and then you can talk to that past self and say, you know, we don't have witch trials anymore. We might have horrible people, but they don't go around hopefully killing us anymore and stuff like that. So yeah, so we have people wanting to come to us for healing, for our psychic abilities, for whatever the gift is. And we can actually get that past life to release that and bring it back to our soul. And then that has a ripple effect going back down your past lives and also into your future lives as well. And it heals this entire line of your soul.
Okay.
That's awesome.
So really helps people work through like scarcity mindset and that fear of being seen, and a lot of the ancestral traumas, I would imagine, that we're carrying, because a lot of that is you again, you brought up the witch trials, and you know, I've been talking about this a lot, because a lot of women think that that's it. That's where it happened. That's where the trauma is. And it's like, yeah, there's something there, but there's so much more, and it goes back so much further than that to really find the answers. And so doing your Akashic records, working within those, it really it seems like that really helps you to address these traumas that you're carrying deep in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's incredible as well, because it's usually just in that one session. So it's not one of those things where it's like, okay, come to me and you need to come back for like 3 months and it will and once a week and then we'll get over your trauma or whatever. It's usually, if we're in the records and the guides are saying, okay, we're going to deal with this trauma today, we literally deal with that trauma that day. Like, we go in, we discover the root cause, we do whatever we need to do around it to learn from it and to release it. And then we do any healing that might need to happen, even if it's just filling in the gap that it's left in our soul now. And then literally it can be an instant thing. Like literally while we're still in there, people say, I just feel fine, especially with physical things. Oh, my neck's suddenly fine. That's amazing. Or it takes a few minutes to hours after we come out, or maybe a few days, maximum a couple of weeks usually, and then that's it. But it's that one session has confronted and then released and healed from whatever it is. So it's incredible.
That is
I'm like,
incredible.
so where do I sign up?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm thinking, so I went to all these plant medicine ceremonies and it could have been so much simpler, maybe. So,
well, that's the other thing. So just because you say you want to get rid of it doesn't mean that you're actually wanting to get rid of it at a soul level, right? So you can go up there and say, oh, I want to do this, and you realize, well, actually, no, I'm still learning from it. Or the guides say, no, we're not dealing with that today. We're actually going to have to go over here and do something completely different. That's rare, because usually if it's in your mind to go in and do something, it's actually ready to be released. But sometimes we do up, and at the very beginning I was always like, but no, they're paying me to sort out this thing, and the guy's like, no, we're going over here. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But it is actually the thing that they need to sort out before they sort out that other thing, perhaps. But again, if it's in your mind to sort that out when we do a session, it's usually because your guides are whispering, okay, we're ready to release this now, right? That's what we're doing today. And and it's absolutely, like, I would say probably like 90% of the time, if you go in saying, I want to deal with this issue, it can be addressed in that session and will be addressed and done within that session to, a few weeks later, it just trickles down and then it's done.
That's incredible. Can you give us some examples of some clients, obviously without naming any names, of course? Can you just give us some examples of some people that have come to you with a problem, and then the results after, the results they found from this work?
Any particular theme that you want, like any area or?
Well, I mean, we could, well, why don't we dabble around and do a couple? Can you give us an example of one where they came in and they had scarcity mindset? That's a big one. A lot of people
Oh,
struggle with money wounds, scarcity mindset. Maybe you have a story of a client that really saw some improvement there.
yeah, I mean, so many views from usually those ones stem from past life things, so they've perhaps taken a vow of poverty in a lifetime because of a religious order or something, or they had a loved one steal their money, so they were like, no, I don't deserve it or want it anymore. I had ones where they had a bad relationship with money because they felt that the money was the cause of the death of somebody that they loved in a past life. So we
Okay.
dealt with that.
Yeah.
And with all of these, it's actually incredible. Like either they have like a problem spending money, so they're, you know, a shopaholic or something, and they suddenly find that they don't have that need to go shopping all the time. Like they still do, but it's not as dramatic, it's not as splurgy, and it's not as much. Or there's the other thing where they suddenly get a promotion at work that's actually got a lot
Okay.
more money coming in and stuff like that. And that's after we've dealt with a money block. So
Okay.
again, there's many different ways of sorting that out. That could
Mm-hmm.
be going to a past life, or it could be dealing with some things in this life as well. Perhaps we overheard our parents talking about how hard it is to find money and how we're going to support the kids or whatever, and put that fear into us at a young age as well. And we can go back to those memories and sort that out. But yeah, I mean, there's been so many clients. I'm trying to like pick one out that was amazing, but yeah, they were all amazing really, because they're all so unique, and that's what I think I love the most, is the uniqueness of it all. Even if I think I know what I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to find in there, we go there and I'm like, oh wow, no, that's completely different what I thought it was going to be, and stuff like that. So um there was like ones where someone was a pirate once, like, you know, like actual sort of like buried treasure kind of pirate kind of thing, like that old style thing. And that was really interesting because they obviously were burying all this treasure, and then like, you know, but they never went back to it, they never dug it back up, and it was like this, just knowing that they had it, they were just holding on to it. It was never to be spent and stuff like that. So they carried that over into this lifetime and all the other lifetimes since, where they
Right.
were just holding on to this money. They needed to know it was there. It's like
Mm.
a comfort thing, but they never touched it. They never went. They would live in like a poverty way
Right.
physically, and just know the money was there, like the shiny things in the corner, right? And yeah, and there's
Okay.
so many different examples of money blocks going in the money
Yeah,
blocks.
no, that one I can
It's
see.
quite
Yeah,
jumping
for
all
sure.
over
Well,
the place.
so many people do have money blocks too. Like it's a
Yeah.
real, it's such a common issue. How about for women who, well, and I mean this can be men too, but the body image issues, you know, that lack of self-love, and where, you know, I know I've worked with so many women who they tell me they look in the mirror and they don't like themselves, and the terrible things they say to themselves. So like, where have you seen stuff like that coming from?
So I actually have a really good example for this one. This one is one
Awesome.
of my favorite clients, because when she first came to me, she was extremely like bad with this. Like she was so disconnected from herself as a body that
Mm-hmm.
she spoke about herself in the third person. She had a name for her body. So
Wow.
she would talk about her body as this other name, and she hated the body. Like yeah, it was just awful. Like she was like ugly, she was fat, she was no good. And it wasn't just the physical, it was like the mental side of her as well. Like, you know, she should have done all of these things. She should have got married and had children and had a good job, and she didn't get any of this. And now she was like 40 or 50 or whatever it was when we first started, and she just wasted her life. And what was the point of living, because this was just her life and she had no connection to the self. So it was very, very, very extreme.
Yeah.
And this was just when I started with the Akashic Records as well. So I was like, I'm
Gosh.
out of my depth. Like, this is
How
like,
it
this is
goes though
bad.
when you're a healer. That's how it goes when you're a healer. You get the hard cases right off the bat.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that I did. Like those sessions at the beginning, they took a lot out of me. Like energetically, I was exhausted after being with her.
Yeah.
And we worked together for like 2 years, but it wasn't like every week. It was like whenever she felt like it. So it was like maybe once a month, once every 2 months, every 6 weeks. It was just very all over the place. It was whenever she needed something. And it was incredible in the end. In the end, what she did on her own volition from our work in the records, she decided that her body was just this poor sort of inner child but outer child, if you see what I mean. So it was this thing that didn't ask to be here, and it wasn't her fault, and so she had to look after her body. And so she became like the soul, her soul became the mother to the body and looked after her and held her and told her it was okay and that she was safe, that she, you know, she had a right to live and she had a right to be here, and she was gonna find friends and she was gonna get a good job, and she was and just encourage her body and help her body through the body image stuff and all of this, because we had discovered from the Akashic Records that her soul hadn't been on earth very much. So a lot of souls come here a lot, and then there's other souls that they're very, very new to Earth, to a 3D density planet or realm or whatever you want to call it. So that they've never experienced grief and anger and heartache and all of this stuff. So this is brand new to these souls. And so they get here and they're thinking, well, one, I'm trapped in this body and this is alien and strange. Now I'm getting all these strange emotions that I've never felt, and they hurt. And that's why you get so many people that have severe depression and like things like that, and don't really feel part of this world, because they're not. They really struggle with it. And she was that. Her soul had never really been in a 3D density realm before, and so really just came down and was like, I've made a mistake. I don't want to be here. This body is horrible. This is my prison. Right?
Yeah, what is this strange thing that I'm in? Oh my gosh, that I'm attached to. Yeah.
So I mean, she's my success story. Like she's just this wonderful, amazing person now. She has this wonderful job that she loves, has all these friends that she truly loves and who truly love her back. She's come to terms a lot with her family things. There's lots of narcissistic stuff in her family. She's put up boundaries, and she's like gone no contact with certain ones of them. Like real strength that she's just taken on, and this whole taking on her body as this child that she needs to care for and love and look after. It's just the most beautiful thing ever to have experienced that over like the 2 years that we worked together. It was just the most beautiful thing.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. I want to switch gears for a second a little bit.
Yeah.
So I know like you talked about you know, your childhood, and you were always kind of that I'll say weird but cool weird. And into all of that, and like had a lot of support, and that's amazing and so wonderful. But in your experience with like kind of, you know, starting to do the Akashic Records stuff or anything like that, or any different things that you've started doing in your own healings and stuff that you've offered, have you dealt with, you know, that voice, that self-doubt voice that comes in and starts, you know, yammering on, saying you're not doing anything or you can't do this or all of that kind of stuff? Have you dealt with that in your journey of kind of taking on new things in the work that you do? And if you have, I'll do a follow-up question. How have you dealt with it? Because I know we talk to a lot of women who they want to do stuff, they feel that pull to do something, and they're struggling to kind of move through that self-doubt and that fear. I mean, hell, I've struggled with it. And like, what's your experience around that?
Yes, absolutely, all the time.
Yeah, final answer.
Yeah, like imposter syndrome is so common for everybody, not just healers and stuff, but especially for when we're doing energetic things or like psychic medium type stuff, anything that's a bit unseen. Of course, you're always thinking, I'm making it up. I'm talking a load of rubbish. And those are the times, especially like with Akashic Records, for example, I'll just say some random thing and I'll be thinking, this is just, I'm not even doing it right. I'm just making it up today. None of this is real. I don't really do this. And this is after years of doing it, right? And I'll just say, well, I'm seeing this thing that's some random thing. And my client will then say, no way, I literally just saw that too. Or how did you even know that? Like, I've never told anybody that, and that means this. And so, and the other way around as well, like the clients, obviously, because I take them into the records, they say, oh, well, that's just my imagination. And then something happens, and they're like, well, that's not the answer that I wanted. Or like, oh, you're seeing that too? Like, that means that I'm not making it up, and there's something to this. And the same with like the healing aspects of like the modalities where I'm doing healing. Like I'll be working on a certain area and not really thinking about it, and someone will say, why did you work so long on that area? And I'm like, well, I don't know, I just felt like it needed that extra bit of whatever. And they say, well, I didn't tell you, but actually that's been a real issue of late, and I was embarrassed to tell you, or I forgot to tell you, or whatever it was. And you just homed in on that area and you just knew. And those are always the times that I've gone through that self-doubt or that imposter syndrome. So that's an immediate boost, obviously, because I'm like, oh, okay, maybe there's something to it, and I'm not making it up, and it's not like there's something real about this. And it is always a self-belief thing. It's always limiting beliefs. It's always a disconnect with your higher self, or with yourself, with your guidance team. Even if you're just blocking out that assistance, that higher guidance, you do feel like you're not doing well. And there doesn't even need to be something spiritual or healing or anything like that. This could be just in your normal 9 to 5 mundane job. You think, well, I'm a manager here and I don't know what I'm doing, and then something will happen and you're like, well, actually I do know what I'm doing. I'm good at my job. And it's just like, I find that things will appear to you to show you that you are doing well, and you have to notice them, that you have to sort of stop and say, oh, it's okay, I thank you for that message, that I'm receiving that message, and not just blow that up as well as, well, I'm making that up because I'm trying to encourage myself. Like just really listen and see that something's telling you that you're on the right path, that you are doing a good job.
I think that a lot of people, they feel that pull to heal. They know deep down that they have this purpose to help others and to heal them in some way. And then that self-doubt creeps in. And so you got to get through that hurdle. And then once you start doing it, you've made it through that hurdle. And that one's a big one. And you start doing it, then your mind starts playing these tricks on you, sort of, but it's something within you talking to you. And I know for myself, it was, what are you doing? You don't know what you're doing here. You're just waving your hands over this person. You're not actually doing healing. How arrogant of you to think that you actually have this power. And I remember that happening, and it was just like, I had to learn to be like, you know what? Just be quiet over there. Whatever this is, like, enough from you. I'm doing this. It's working. I know it is. And it is hard when you can't see it per se. Like, you're feeling something, and it's, am I really feeling it? Am I making it up in my head? And I think this holds so many people back from actually stepping into the full embodiment of their power. And it's such a shame that it's that those blocks are there holding people back that have very, very important work to do here.
Yeah.
I will say, I know for myself, like specifically with doing like energy healings, kind of like I've had the same thing where it's like, you know, you have that, you're working on someone, you have that voice come in that's like, what are you even doing? And like, I kind of always approached it in more of a like comedic way, because I would start laughing at myself. Like, you know, I'm doing a healing and that voice would come in and I'd be like, I would laugh because I'd be like, do you think I could make this up? Like, look at the weird shit I'm doing right now. Why would I make this up? Like, I'm waving my hands around, I'm making weird sounds. Well, I couldn't even do this. Like, this is just silly. So like, yeah, I would definitely approach it much more of a comedic, like laugh at myself, laugh at that voice kind of way, and just be like, this makes no sense. So clearly I am doing something.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that's why it's so important for the client to speak up and to say, oh, that was the best healing I ever had, or, you know, how did you know that I had a headache, or whatever it was, right? Like, they need to do that feedback to help you realize you're not picking it up. And
So true. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me, you know, like with meditations, I would do this. I would, you know, very similar to what you were explaining, that, you know, I do these guided meditations and I can see this stuff happening. You know, my eyes are closed, but I can sense things in the room that are happening. And the women go into these very deep states in these meditations and have a journey. And at first I was just like, I can't believe this is really happening. I don't know how this is happening, but it is. And then getting that affirmation back when they're like, oh, there were butterflies all around me, or there was a frog that jumped on my chest, or I turned into a bird or something. And all that stuff that was going on in that group meditation, I saw it. I felt it. I sensed the energies of it. And it's so affirming. But in order to get to that phase, you have to get through the block and actually do the thing, you know, and be brave enough to use your voice and use your power. And it's scary. Like, it's really scary to put yourself out there in that and face those blocks. So now you've been doing it since you were a kid, but you're saying you even have times when you're scared.
Absolutely. All the time. All the time.
I just want anyone listening who's holding back their power to understand that this happens to everyone. This is normal. This is natural. And it's just, it's basically being so devoted to yourself and your soul's journey that you go through the block and you show up for yourself because you're here for a purpose.
Like,
we've encountered a lot.
The human mind's your like best friend, but your worst enemy, right? Like, so your soul's trying to do all this stuff, and the human like mind, the ego, is like, it's trying to keep you safe. It's trying to keep you small because it wants you to feel safe. So it's like, don't do that, and you just have to, like you said, like, just thank you very much. Go sit in the corner. I'm gonna be brave.
Don't let people know how weird you are. If they know how weird you are, you might get rejected, and that's terrible. So that's why we hold back, right? So
And honestly, I think that's why it's so lovely that we have technology now, that we have, like, you know, ways of talking like this, or we have social media and stuff, because we can see that there's other weird people out there. Some people, they're by themselves, right? There's no one in their family, there's no one in their group of friends, there's no one in their whole community that are doing the things that they're doing. So they are the strange witchy person on the hill or something. And they need to know that there's other people out there that, you know, they do go through these disbeliefs of their own ability, or, you know, imposter syndrome stuff, or just feel, I'm not feeling it today. I don't want to do this today. And that happens all the time too. And honestly, those are the days that if I then go and do it, I have the best results, because something wants to show me, no, don't give up, like, keep going, and we're going to do a really good session today because you're feeling so down about doing this. I want to show you why you do it, like, why, like, give you that joy and give you that achievement and give you that amazing result so that you can continue that.
Absolutely. I mean, because it happens to the healer in that way, but then it also, and I don't think people realize that that's a normal part of being a healer, is that those same struggles come in sometimes, and you're challenged because within your own delivery of healing, you too are healing.
Yeah.
But with people going to get healing, and we've talked about this so much with people, when you feel that block, like, you've got, we'll just say a cacao ceremony that you're going to go attend, and you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh gosh, I really just don't want to go to that today. I just really don't feel like I should go. And then the whole drive, you're just like, oh, I think I should turn around. I'm exhausted. I'm not feeling this. Oh, this is going to be crap. And you go through all the things in your mind, and then you push through. And if you can push through all those things, when you show up at that healing, that ceremony, whatever it is, you are going to have, I would say, with my own experience, 100% of the time, the most incredible experience that if you hadn't showed up for it, you never would have known. And I think so many people, they do struggle with that, especially when they're early in their healing journey, before they understand what's actually going on with the blocks, these energetic blocks that are in their way. So yeah.
Well, they're tests as well a lot of the time, right? It's testing you to see if you want it that bad, if you want your soul to go a bit further, if you want to learn. And because you've always got, like, people say, oh, I've got free will, or I don't have free will and my life's mapped out, but it's neither, it's both. You have all of your life planned out from your soul before you're incarnated, but there's forks in the road. And I always say it's like, those like old magazines where you had like, a question, it's like yes or no, and you follow it down, and then it's like, and what do you do here, and yes or no, or maybe, or whatever, and it goes down, and you've got a result. And you can always go back over to the other bit and take a different path. It just takes longer, but that's how your soul has mapped it out. It's like a web, and you can take this fork and that fork, and it might be the harder route, and you can always get back to the good thing, or you can take the easier route. And yeah, it's just like all of these things are put in place for you to see, well, are you going to go to this yoga thing or this cacao ceremony thing to have this amazing experience and realize that this is something that you really enjoy doing, and it's actually expanding your soul and helping you learn? Or are you just going to be too scared or too tired and not advance? Are you just going to live the rest of your life in the 9-to-5 mundane thing? And that's also a lesson as well. That's a lesson for your soul to see how far it can push you, and whether it should keep pushing you that way, or it needs to change direction of how to lure you to get you to do something that's going to enlighten you a bit more.
Absolutely. So I have another question. With this wave of healing that we've seen, we've kind of seen, I wouldn't call it the first wave by no means, because I know I have elders that started on this path back in the 70s and 80s, but we have seen a huge wave of healing come forward, pre-COVID time, and now we're seeing more, and it's working in waves. As an Akashic record leader, healer, I don't know how you identify yourself on that, and a tarot
coach, but it can be reader, it can be anything really.
Okay, a tarot card reader and all this. How do you see these waves? Like, what is happening here? Can you explain to people listening why this is happening right now, from your perspective, and what's going on, with it all?
Yeah. Okay, so let's see how weird I can get. So we're going through this huge energetic shift right now, and everybody alive right now chose to be here for one way or another to be part of that change. And some people are here to hinder it, to keep us sort of rooted in that 3D, and others are here to expand. So it's like, you can think of it like we're just up leveling our souls, or you can think of it as we're up leveling the planet, we're up leveling like humanity. We're just like we're definitely up leveling, and this energy is coming through. So we're going into that whole age of Aquarius thing, like the song, right? So we're going from this age where, in not in a bad way, but of selfishness, of one, like me, and how do I survive, how do I protect myself, how do I, you know, push everyone else aside so I can get the good job with the good pay, with so I can have the house and the car and, you know, the great vacations and whatever. And it's the me era had that for this whole age. Now we're going into this community age where we're going to understand that even the people we dislike are the mirrors, and that's hard for me. You know, but like, yeah, you have to realize that all these people, if you're doing good for someone else, that is also going to be start very much like 100% reflecting back onto you. If you do bad to someone else, it's going to reflect back on you, and it's going to have this whole thing. So if you look after the community, if you look after the people around you, you all grow so much bigger and quicker. And it's going to go in from that one, looking after myself, to looking after the community and rising together. And from there, we're channeling in all of these like codes and blueprints and stuff that are then traveling down into the planet, into the earth. And the earth is also then upgrading. So then you have, well, the people that are not at all spiritual, they're very stuck in their ways. They you know, they're never going to awaken in this lifetime. And they've probably chosen that. They probably chose to be here at this time to not awaken, to see how bad it can be for their soul to stay in that, just, you know, me and my career and my life, and, you know, nothing spiritual. I don't believe in God, or I don't believe in afterlife or anything. Like, this is the one life and all that stuff. They would literally do that so that most other people around them are ascending into this age of Aquarius, and just how will they react, needing to stay in that 3D density? How's their soul going to deal with that? And that's really fascinating as well, I think.
Yeah, no, I've pondered that. And I actually had I think it was one of my kids recently, like last week, was asking me something about somebody staying set in their ways. And I was trying to explain, I was like, some people are going to stay set in their ways. They're not going to heal. That's the way it is. I mean, we're all always healing. That's just, in my opinion, that's inevitable. It's part of evolving. It's part of growing and maturing. And I mean, but consciously heal with purpose, to grow and step into something new, a bigger purpose. I said, they won't. And they said, well, what will happen to them? And I said, honestly, I don't fully know. Like, you know, do you want to explain a little bit about what might go on there, just for people who are worried about their, say, family members and loved ones that they see are just not awakening?
Yeah. So, like I said, they've either chosen not to wake up at all, or they put in sort of places in the crossroads in their life where they can awaken, but when they get to them, they're like, no, I'm too scared of awakening, like of waking up a little bit, or whatever it is. Or like that, they've just chosen just not to, because that's part of their soul mission, is to experience the 3D in all of its glory. Like all the bad with the good, they want to experience that. Now, if it's both of those, then that's just how they're going to live out this life. And then say we then advance the earth, and this realm actually becomes like a 4, 5, 6D, whatever it gets to by the time that person is ready to reincarnate, then they just won't be reincarnated on this realm anymore until they're ready for that level. They'll find some other realm that's 3D, 2D, 1D, even, whatever their soul needs, because the soul wants to experience that that lower vibration. It sounds really strange, but they want to experience sadness, they want to experience anger, they want to experience all of this because it's so unusual. It's not very common for a soul to experience that. So it's like the stronger souls choose that lifetime, right? They choose the ones where they are going to learn from pain and suffering and stuff. So that's why I've never been one for you have to go out and wake everybody up and let's go. And even the people coming to me, I have people that are atheists, so they're not very spiritually awakened, but they're still coming doing Akashic Records thing, right? And it's very interesting to see them doing it. But yeah, you don't need to wake these people up because it's maybe not in their mission to do that. Like, you need to let them do their thing and they're going to be fine, and souls travel together. So if it is a family member, you're going to see them again. They're going to continue with you in other lifetimes. It's just this lifetime they need to be different from you. They need to, and same with you. Like if you're up here and they're down there, you maybe needed to be in that relationship, whether it's family or it's a partner or whatever it is. You need to have that complete difference to see how your souls interact with each other, because there's going to be some lifetimes where you love each other and some where you hate each other, and then some where you're at different levels, you're seeing different things, because the awakened people see things differently. Like you could all be watching the same TV program, but someone that's sort of more awake is going to see the program in it, whereas like the person that's not is not going to even notice like that the advert's trying to convince them to buy this thing. Like they just don't see it at all. And the awakened person's, how can you not see it? It's so obvious. Look, they're doing this and this, and they literally don't know what you're talking about. Like, they can't comprehend it. And so it's so fascinating to just see all of these different soul missions and the different ways that they interact, because I used to be like, well, come on, like everybody needs to awaken and it's going to be great. And it's like, no, that's not their purpose. That's not why they're here at this time.
No, it's you can't shake them awake. That's not what we're supposed to do. That's what I always say. And and having just respect for their soul's purpose, their soul's journey, and not trying to change anybody, understanding that they're on their own path, and there's a reason for it. Even when you see someone suffering, that soul has chosen that. And that's what I always try to explain to people. I'm like, don't worry so much. That soul chose this life. They chose their parents. They chose you as a friend. All of that was already set before they came here. So, and I think it's really hard for those that are awakening and are, have that super, super compassionate heart in them to really let that sink in, that you can't change people and you can't wake them up. You have to just let them have their journey and trust.
Okay. Yeah, you can plant seeds. You can sort of suggest things to them and say, like, when you're ready, maybe you can look into that, or just be very open about how you are and how you believe and stuff, and just say, I'm here if you ever want to talk, or if you have any questions, and just be open enough so that they can come to you, because there's so many times that someone will tell someone something and they're like, oh, that's ridiculous. And then years and years later, something else will happen to them and they'll remember what you told them. And then they'll be like, well, 1 minute, now that's clicking in my head. Now I'm piecing it together. It wasn't 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It just sounded ridiculous. But now, after those life experiences leading up to this, now I'm remembering what you told me, and now I'm going to piece that together. Now I'm going to research some things. Now I'm going to go inwards and see how that resonates with me. And then that maybe awakens them, not because you've gone out and shook them and said, awaken, because you sort of said, oh, and this thing, isn't that interesting? And they said, no, that's rubbish and don't be ridiculous. But that's like that little thing that stuck with them, and that thing that actually allows them to piece some stuff together later on.
Exactly. Planting those seeds by being in your own authenticity, not holding back, being who you are. And not afraid to show them who you are, that's planting those seeds. So it's so important. Yeah. What were you gonna ask?
Oh gosh, no, I was gonna say something like 5 minutes ago, but then she kind of said it, so so it's all good. It's all good. So it's perfect. But no. I guess in kind of like, I guess starting to wrap this up. What do you have going on right now? Do you have anything that you're working on that you're excited about, that you're kind of offering out to your people, and anything like that you have coming up? Do you do stuff online as well? Like, do you have any offerings online? Okay.
I don't know when this is coming out, but I'm actually doing something on the 28th. But if this doesn't go out before then I'm going to do it again. But that's a self-love thing, so that's a totally free wonderful self-love thing. It's a group thing online. Literally I just take the whole group into the Akashic Records, and we're going to just do a self-love, whatever that looks like for each individual person, but we're going to it's going to be a little bit structured, although I haven't quite decided what it's going to be yet. I'm just going to go with the flow, literally. And and it's not to sell anything. It's not to, if people want to come work with me, awesome. If they want to come have a chat with me, awesome. But I just felt the call to do a self-love thing, and that's what I'm doing. But I'm always doing little bits and pieces like that, like group stuff and things like that. And so just check out the website.
We'll definitely share your stuff. Even if this does come out later than your event, we would love to share it, because that's what we're all about, is promoting self-love. So that's awesome.
Yes. And all of you sent me your links. They will all be in the show notes. So anyone who's listening and wants to connect with Becca, they can go check out her work. It'll all be in the show notes. That'll be awesome.
So you do work with people one-on-one through online. That is doable if people want it.
I've done in person and online with the same person or people, and it's exactly the same. Like, there's no difference whatsoever for me or for them. It's actually incredible how quick people can get into their records just online, and it is just because it's energetic. It's like Reiki, right? Like you can do just Reiki, and it's the same kind of way of doing that. Like, I just connect to them and I take them up, and we go from there. And it's absolutely safe. Like, it's not a hypnosis, and it's not really a meditation. It's kind of somewhere in between. So if there was something wrong with the internet, it's absolutely fine. Like, you just get up and get on with your day, and I just close the records from my end. And there's no, you don't have to worry that you're going to be stuck in a hypnotic trance or anything. It's very, very safe. It's very, very because it's your records as well. Like, nothing can harm you. So it's a good.
And so can people find you through your name, Becca Shaw, or do you have a business name that you use? Or
so the business name is Ember Healing, and that's on Facebook and Instagram. I think Instagram though is Holistic Becca, actually, but it's for Ember Healing. And and then there's the website as well. But you have all the links, and that'll
it'll all be there. Just like to say,
events and stuff will be on the website and on the social media. So or you can just reach out and be like, when's your next thing? What are you doing? And I'm absolutely happy to chat with whoever and whatever about all of this stuff forever. So contact.
I don't know our listeners, but I definitely want to know what her next thing is. It sounds incredible, Becca.
No, for sure. So do you have any, I'm going to say, final words that you would like to leave listeners with? Anything you'd like to share? Words of wisdom? Anything like that?
I always kind of tell everybody that the power is always in that person. Like, you can have the best healer or the best coach or whatever in the world, but if you don't have that fire within you, nothing's going to happen. And likewise, if you have no healer around, you have no coach around, you have no one at all in your life, but you have the desire, the strength of your soul is incredible. And so you literally can shape your reality to whatever you want it to be. And it's hard. It's not easy. It's not just like that, but everybody has such immense power in themselves. Like, even if you feel like so down and so like there's nothing for you, if you can just have just the slightest bit of a fire left in you, you literally can transform your life. You have that immense power within you, and that just needs to be reminded all the time, I think.
All the time.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yes.
so much, Becca.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
It was wonderful having this conversation with you. Your work is so important. And now I want to learn more about the Akashic Records, I have to say.
It's so funny actually too, because I know I've had a session before and you haven't.
I haven't.
And
no.
I've recently actually been like, oh, I kind of want to dive into that a little bit again. So it's actually really cool that you're here today and we're talking about it.
Yeah, that we've met you.
Yeah.
This is amazing. Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah. Anytime you guys want to talk about it, or if you want to have a little adventure, and I'm quite happy to go on journeys with people.
Sounds awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today on Unraveling. Thank you to all our listeners for tuning in. And yeah, I guess we'll see you next time. You got anything to say?
Remember, you are worthy.